Hey everyone, welcome to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm Joseph Trahan, your host for the #1 video podcast in Virginia, where we explore the rich history, vibrant culture, and iconic businesses that make our Commonwealth truly special and worth talking about. So get ready as together we discover Virginia. Dismissed all the honeys, the dummies, Playboy bunnies, just wanting the money. Today, our guest is a dynamic recording artist, DC Grammy Chapter Governor, and cultural advocate known for her electrifying performance and impactful hip-hop voice and just amazing role in and around the local Norfolk community and NSU alumni. Nia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. That's quite an introduction.
We're so excited. Well, you're a very, very talented and busy person. So we appreciate carving out some time to chat with us today. So before we dive into your wonderful career, I'd love to get started with what brought you to the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. And of course, what got you to stick around and build your life and your business here?
So I'm actually an NSU alumni. I graduated from Norfolk State. I had my degree in mass communications, and I was also an on-air personality for Hot 91. And it was there when I ended up meeting my first producer, and that's really where Nia Dinero was created. Together, we were a duo. We went by Dreams to Dinero, and we were a good group for probably 5 or 6 years. So we did a lot of local shows here in the 757. And then 2015, I went solo, and I've been on my path ever since.
I love it. I love it, Nia. Is there a certain memory that sticks out to you during those radio days where you go back to and you think, oh, man, those are the good old days?
Yes, actually. So when I was at NSU, they had me doing entertainment news.
Okay.
Like hip hop news, sports, anything. And I remember one time, there were 2 other on-air personalities. They were like the main, like I said, I was just doing the entertainment news. But one day they were late, and the show was about to start, and I was by myself, and I had to open the show by myself, and I did it, and I killed it. And I remember people calling me like right after I did it and said, "Nia, is that you?" Like
they didn't even believe it.
You're so good. Like that's good. So. Yeah, I will never forget that moment when I had to show up. I had to do what I had to do.
I love that. How much of that persona was more of a character versus your actual personality when you were in that role on the radio? Because it's just your voice.
Ooh, that's a great question. So you know how there's a lot of people that detach the artist from the person?
Sure.
A lot of who Nia Dinero is who I am. I am someone that shows up. I am someone that when put in, situations that would create pressure, I just know how to show up. In that space. Even when it comes down to performing, everyone always asks me, "Do you get nervous?" I get nervous every single show, but there's something that turns on when the mic is in your hand and you're on and you're speaking.
Absolutely,
you can't turn back. You got to just keep moving forward. So yeah,
I love that, Nia. When we look back at your early years, what was your relationship with music like, and how has that evolved over time to where you are creating today?
So honestly, I grew up listening to all types of music. When I mean all types of music, I mean all types of music. I think a lot of people say they listen to all types of music, but they really only listen to like the same genre, but different styles of that same genre.
Not the German folk music.
Yeah, like I'm talking about everything. I'm from Tracy Chapman to Celine Dion to Aerosmith to Beyonce to I listen to everything, pop music, like everything. And so for me, music was always something that I understood. I always understood the structure of music. But to be honest with you, I never saw myself being a rapper. I never saw myself being an artist. It wasn't until I was in college and I met Dreams that he has seen a video of me on YouTube. I was playing around with my homegirl, and he saw the video, and he was like, "Yo," and I was rapping. He was like, "Yo, have you ever thought about rapping?" And I was like, "No, not for real, not seriously."
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, "Okay, go to class, come back, and I'm gonna have a song for you." And I came back from class and he had a song. It was called Swagger Chick. It was called Swagger Chick. It was my very, very, very first song. We did it on GarageBand in the dorm.
Yeah.
But that's honestly when it started. And he was like, okay, we're going to do this because you have something. And that's honestly when I fell in love with being an artist. But the love of music that's just always been there.
Yeah.
Always.
Is there a certain process or procedure that you utilize when it comes to the creation of certain bars or rhythms? Or is it more so of just, hey, I'm inspired, and now I'm going to just jot this down?
Some of my best songs, like Side 2, it came very naturally. I think a lot of times for me, the song tells me what to do.
Yeah.
With certain melodies, it tells you what the melody is supposed to do. When I wrote Side 2, believe it or not, I was taking a walk. I was taking a walk and I had the instrumental and I just kept playing it. And I just remember just walking around the neighborhood and the first things first, I got you dismissed all the money. Like when it comes to writing, you know, there's certain cheat codes. And so one of the cheat codes is take a verse that you love from someone that you admire.
Right.
That's popular. Don't steal it. But you take it and you kind of play off of that. And that just, when I plug that in there, the rest, like for me, it's like writing a paper. It's like when you get that first sentence in, it just flows from there.
Yeah.
It just flows from there.
Is there a certain artist or rapper that you specifically admired growing up and also in your younger career where you wanted to emulate and get more of the inspiration off of those individuals?
Hands down, definitely, and I'm not saying this because I'm in a 757, but Missy Elliott, of course. Everyone respects Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
You know, from her artistry to her creativity, you know, her being an engineer, producer, artist, being able to rap, being able to sing, being able to, you know, just her ability to collaborate with other artists. The color, the charisma, the videos, the visuals. Missy Elliott has always been that artist that's always set a bar.
Yeah.
To let me know that, like, it don't have to make sense to everyone all the time. But when you do it and you do it right and you do it your way and you're original and authentic, the right ones will definitely support it and appreciate it.
This may be hard to narrow down. So if not, that's okay. Is there a favorite, perhaps, phrase or song that Missy Elliott did that really speaks to you?
Ooh.
Or a bar you go back to when you're like, hey, I need to work through this next thing, or maybe I'm stuck.
That's a tough one. I can tell you my favorite Missy song is I can't believe I'm forgetting the name, but Sock It To Me. Sock It To Me like you want to. Ooh, I can say it like a pro, you know. Like, to me, and that song came out, I was young when that came out. But it once again, it was the melody, it was the drum. Right. Doom, 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 doom. So yeah. That's when I fell in love with Missy.
Yeah, I love that, and I appreciate and really can sense your passion for the music. Because when we find something we're passionate about, especially and regardless of what season in life we're in, we want to hold on to it. But a lot of times those passions are really suppressed by the world and, you know, just the necessity to work and the necessity to make ends meet.
Right.
I'm curious for you, how do you balance the artistic side of things while also staying creative, but also true to the reality of, hey, if this song doesn't hit, if my producer doesn't approve of it, then it can't get out to the masses.
It can't get out to the masses. That's a really, really, really great question. So one thing you have to realize and you have to understand, like, it's 2025. The industry and the expectations of how to make it is just completely different.
Yeah.
And so I think when you first grasp that, then you're able to carve out what success looks like to you. For me, I've always, even when it comes down to financing my career, I had to say to myself, okay, well, until I get a manager or until I get a team or until I'm signed to a label or whatever it may be, I still have to, this is my dream. This is what I have to make work. So I never had a problem having a bridge job.
Right.
You know, having a job. For me, the hospitality industry was always that go-to career path that was flexible enough that allowed me to still do what I need to do and do shows and this and that. You know what I mean? And so for me, I think when you apply, even whether it's a job or whether it's just kind of balancing, like you said, the creativity with real life, I think you first have to understand what success means to you.
Yeah.
And what that looks like, and not be afraid of what people think in order for you to do what you have to do to get there, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense too. And I appreciate you speaking to that as well, because in addition to the work that you do, you're also really a cultural advocate, you know, for empowering individuals, regardless of what season of life they're in or state of life, if they're doing the bridge job or pursuing the passion.
Right.
And so, you know, when you are writing, I'm curious for who you're writing for when you're making your music. Who's your music for?
For me, honestly, when I'm writing, the first thing that comes to my mind is representation. Representation. I'm writing for who I would like to see inspire someone like me, or a woman like me, or you know, and you know, someone who did go to college, someone who, you know, I didn't have all the help to get into this industry. I had to get a job. I had to, like the reality of the situation is there's room for everybody to have someone to look up to, if that makes any sense. And everyone needs representation, someone that they can look at to say, hey, if they did it, if she did it and still went to college, if she did it and still had to have a side job, if she did it and she still kept her integrity, you know, she didn't have to be naked, she didn't have to do this, and she did it. I make music for that little girl. Whatever color you are, I make room for that person that's looking to say, hey, can I do it this way and not have to do this?
Yeah.
You know, can I say it this way and not have to say that? Can I dress this way and not have to wear this? And so that's very, very important to me. Representation is very, very important to me. And that's why I write music for.
Yeah, thank you for opening up about that too, because there is a general sense we look at just stereotypes of success, especially in the music industry, where you have to look a certain way, you have to dance a certain way, you have to talk a certain way in order to be successful.
Right.
But it sounds like the way in which you are, you know, viewing the elements of success, especially in 2025, is, hey, as long as I'm identifying the people I'm talking to for representation, that's how I'll be successful.
Exactly.
On my terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, and this is something that me and my manager was just talking about on our way down here, like if you give one thing to 5 different people, it's going to show up 5 different ways.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so the same is, you know, if you, especially in this industry, you can have so many people telling you to do this, you should do this, you should shoot this type of video, you should look da-da-da-da-da. If you really gave into pleasing everyone, you would be doing that your whole entire career and never get anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So at one point, you have to be authentic and just stick to your, you know, stay rooted in your authenticity and your originality. And you have to, not saying you can just do that and not really sell it, you know?
Right.
But you have to do it to the point to where you make people believe enough to want to follow. If that makes any sense.
The message has to resonate.
The message has to resonate, but it only resonates when they believe.
Right.
When they know, like, this is something that you truly stick by. You live by it. You truly represent this. You see what I'm saying? So for me, as long as I stay authentic to who I am, the like who is meant to follow me will follow me.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And I think for a lot of times too, in any kind of work, fashion, you know, especially as self-employed individuals or business owners, you know, the first step in generating profit or making money is to get the attention first.
Exactly.
Right? To get somebody to pay attention.
Exactly.
And then they follow you. And then if they follow you and believe in what it is you're speaking of, then they'll pay you for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And a lot of times you can have a vision and an idea, but you know, one of the things I always say to myself, and actually one of the best pieces of advice that was given to me is you can try to convince people of the things you want to do, but the number one way to show them what you want to do is to show them show it first. Like, let them see. If you want to act, you can keep saying all you want. I want to act, I want to do this, I want to do that. But the best way to show them is to show them, create a visual where it showcases you acting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my whole thing. My whole thing is just never showing up at any table. It's just kind of like a statement I make. Like, I don't show up to any table, any meeting, anything, but nothing. Because when you have nothing, you give them every reason to tell you what you're going to do, who you're going to be. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that goes back to, and I want to follow through with this question, with this statement with a follow-up question, but the element of belief starts with belief in yourself.
Yes.
But not expecting other people to believe in you, but you have to show them to believe them.
Exactly.
Right? And we see that a lot of time with a finished product or a video or a podcast episode where people have to see it to believe it.
Exactly.
Because there's so much garbage in the world that people are getting shown. So how do you, this is my follow-up question, how do you in the music industry continue to not only outpace who you were as a musician, but also continue to shine in those spots where there is a lot of light and there is a lot of noise around who to follow next or what to listen to?
That's a great question. Honestly, it still is rooted in authenticity.
Yeah.
I think when you stay true in your moment of silence, when you're by yourself, when you're in that preparation stage, when you're in that stage where, you may not be known and things aren't popping yet, that is your time to prune yourself. That is your time to study. That is your time to get your mind, your spirit, your integrity, your character, all that stuff together. So by the time the lights do come on, you are able to step into any room, step into any meeting, step into any space. So I'm a new DC governor of the DC Grammy Chapter of the Recording Academy. And so
congratulations to that.
You.
That's incredible.
Thank you. And when that opportunity even presented itself, it came based off of me just being in my natural space of authenticity, right? And so when I would walk into these spaces, they're kind of looking at me like, who's this new girl? You know what I mean? Because in a lot of those spaces, they've been in that group for years. You see what I'm saying? So they notice when you're new.
Yeah.
And so when
you're the newbie, right?
When you're the new kid,
and there's no trust there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so one of the things that stood out to a lot of them, and I know because they let me know, is just when I walk into a room like I know I belong there. But it's not in a conceited or cocky. No, it's in a space of, I remember what it was like before all these things were happening, when I was praying for these opportunities. But in that time, I had to get my mind right. I had to get my character right. There were times when I was studying interviews. I was looking on YouTube and seeing how people conduct themselves and to prepare myself for the moment. Yeah. What do they say? Preparation plus opportunity equals success. Yeah. So that's how I move. That's how I think.
Yeah, I love that. And that speaks to the testament of, that opportunity in and of itself. There's a YouTuber, Ali Abdaal, he, does a lot of self-improvement, self-development. One of the strategies he shares is a lot of times in life, our present self doesn't appreciate what we are accomplishing, that our past self would really go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
That's good.
So taking intentional steps to write out hey, this happened today, this happened that day, this moment happened, and taking time to pause and reflect on that, because I think that ultimately is what you're doing and allowing you that headspace when you do go into those new opportunities of, hey, I know where I've come from, and I'm going to keep myself in check.
Exactly. And I love what you said. And one of my favorite books that remind me of what you said is The Alchemist. Yeah. You ever read that book?
Absolutely.
And that book is just very important to me because it taught me the importance of the journey as opposed to the destination. Yeah. I think what you just stated is just understanding that yes, this is what we do. We have gifts, whether it's music, whether it's painting, cooking, being a chef, whatever. Yeah. But in the midst of it, you're still a human. You're still a person living a life. And these, though these are things that we do, you have to make space to live and just kind of be on this path. And whatever happens on that path to get to where you're going, you have to also be open to that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, it's kind of in the book, he had this mindset on what he thought he wanted. Then he went on the journey. And as he was on the journey, he was pulled in all these different ways, right? But he didn't fight it. And then by the time he got to the end, he was like, man, what I thought I wanted, it's not even what I thought it's not even what I want. Because along the journey, all these things happen to make me a better person.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well said, Nia. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to take a break here real quick. And then when we come back, we're going to dive into the musical process itself and how you go about making music. We'll be right back.
All right.
Hey everyone, Michael here from Behind the Camera. Right now we're taking a quick break to acknowledge and thank our wonderful studio host, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. When it comes to getting information and guidance on financing your next home purchase, we recommend talking with Atlantic Bay. They are one of the original lending institutions in our home city of Virginia Beach, and have a long resume of getting the job done well and making your home buying experience more enjoyable. So, if you're looking to experience Virginia full-time, consider checking them out today at www.atlanticbay.com. Disclosure: loan programs may change at any time with or without notice. Information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. All loans subject to income verification, credit approval, and property appraisal. Not a commitment to lend. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal housing lender. And now, back to today's show.
And we're back. Nia, thank you for sharing all that. I want to dive into the musical process itself. I'm so fascinated, especially from creatives. We know that creatives are philosophical and intentional with what they do, but there's also a certain magic and also mathematical equation that goes into creating the music itself. I'm curious for you, when you do go to sit down in the writing room, what is that process like for you? And is that going to be a process time for more of personal anecdotes and things to work through, or more of, in general, life things happening in and around you?
Ooh. So you have some great questions. Okay, I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's a little bit of both. I will say with every single I don't think people believe me when I say this. But everything that every song that you hear, I've either co-written or written. And I'm very intentional with, like, if it never happened, or if it's not a reflection of who I am, like, it's not going to be in the song. You see what I'm saying? So I will say, based on the music that I have done, majority of it has been based off of life experiences. And it just so happens that a lot of the music that I have written have been based off of relationships. Yeah. And I mean, I think those are the easiest songs to write when you are writing them based off of actual experiences. And because, like I told you earlier, because representation is so important to me, I have to be in the writer circle, very hands-on, because I'm very, very mindful and careful of what I say in raps, or just what I say in my music, period, and how I'm represented in my music.
Absolutely. Is there a certain person or persona that you also like to reflect or emulate in your music, or is it more so of like, hey, this is Nia and this is Nia through and through? No, like there are definitely certain songs where. So I'll say this. I'm gonna break the fourth wall a little bit. Yeah, let's do it. Because hey, it's a podcast. No rules. It's a podcast. Yeah. So my name is Brittany, right? And I got my name, like I said, I got my name in college at NSU, and so for years, it was hard for me to create an identity for Nia. Like, I didn't know how to be Nia Dinero. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't even understand, like, when am I Nia? When am I Brittany? I used to separate the two. Yeah. And then at one point, I remember having a conversation with my friend, and they were like, look, Nia and Brittany are one, right? Like, in a sense of, there are certain characteristics of Nia that are still Brittany. It's just that Nia has more confidence to push those things out. Right. They kind of shine a little bit brighter. Exactly. Like when I can put on my makeup and I can do this, then I'm less shy, because me as a person, I'm very shy. People do not believe me. Like, I'm very, very shy. But Nia, she could be more confident. She could be bold. She could be just kind of have like just a different type of swag. So when I am writing certain songs and I do want it to be a little bit more straightforward or direct, or
tell a man what I want instead of just kind of beating around the bush.
Yeah.
I do have to kind of like mentally tell myself like, okay, it's still me, but I'm gonna allow Nia to make it okay for me to say it this way.
Yeah, yeah.
If that makes any sense. And so
I love that.
I try to have just fun with it, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my first name is Joseph, and sometimes I go by Joe, and even that subtle change, I'm like, oh, who am I in this sentence? And I'm like, I'm the same person. Like, there's no mixture here. It's just a different way to say my name.
But it's a real thing.
But it's real, yeah.
It's a real thing, especially when you're in the creative space.
Yeah.
Because something happens to everyone when they're on. You see what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where it's like, those that understand it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I just get to, you know, blame Nia for certain things.
I love the persona side too, and I appreciate you breaking that down, Nia. I'm curious, and we don't have to get too much into specifics currently, but in general, when you are writing music about relationships, do you find it to be easier to write about relationships during the relationship, or if you're taking a break from relationships? After. Okay. Yeah.
When I'm in relationships, this is from the experience. From experience. When I'm in relationships, I tend to write a lot about love. I tend to write a lot about just my feelings on the more joyful side.
Yeah, it's fun. It's sweet, right?
Yeah, sweet, you know, side twos, all that great stuff. When I'm out of a relationship, I'm more reflective. Yeah. And so it's more of love, but then I may have been hurt, but this is how I felt, but this is why I feel the way that I feel. It's just more reflective. It's more reflective for sure. Definitely.
Absolutely. When we talk about the process behind the scenes, when it comes to after the music is written and now it's being produced and the lyrics are now getting intertwined with the music, what part of that process do you have to say, hey, my hands are off, it has to come together? Or is it more so of, nope, I'm fine-tuning this aspect, I'm fine-tuning that, okay, maybe I need to change this lyric? How involved are you as the music gets linked to the lyrics?
Every part.
Every part.
Like, I'm like, of course, the engineer is the engineer, producer is the producer.
Yeah.
But everyone that I've worked with respects me enough to come and say, hey, do you like this? Yeah. And that's very important.
Sure.
And I think that they do that because they know that I built a rapport where it's like, okay, she's majority of her career, she's been doing this solo. You know what I mean? And when you're doing a lot of things by yourself, you learn to have to wear those different hats and pay attention to different things. And I'm very particular when it comes to my sound. I'm very particular when it comes to my quality and what I'm giving you all. You know what I mean? And so my team respect that. They respect that. And so I am grateful. I'm very grateful, especially in an industry that's majority men.
Yeah.
I'm definitely grateful that, you know, they do respect me enough to always ask for my opinion in every step and how I feel and if I like it along every step. So
we're going to dive into the industry next. I have one last follow-up question to that. Mm-hmm. So how do you know when the song is done? Like for you, how do you know when it's done?
Ooh. Oh man.
The producer, the sound engineer is like, this is what I can do. Everyone's around you is saying, you know what, this could work. The deadline, the calendar says, hey, it's due this date.
You know honestly, you know when it's done when all those elements you mentioned, when the producer, the engineer, the writing, the mastering.
Sure.
Like when it's just done, like when everyone has given 100% and is, you know, it is what it is. But I will say this, a good record can be subjective, you know? So the song can be done. The producer might think it's done. The engineer might think it's done. But I might listen to it and be like, something's off, or it needs more reverb, or it needs this, or it needs that. So I would say for me, the song is done when I say the song is done.
Yeah.
When I say it's done and I'm like, okay, this is great. This is good.
Yeah. So, but there are tells to that, but it's more so of like, okay, these tells are there and I feel in the moment.
Yeah. Like a lot of times before a song gets to you, if they already feel like, okay, this is good, then it's kind of like a shoot for the stars, land on the moon type situation.
Right.
By the time it gets to me, it's not going to be terrible. There ain't going to be much to have to work on or fix, especially if you know your team. and you know your team are professionals in their right. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they know you. So by the time it gets to me, they already, at this point, especially when you continue to build with them, they already know the things you're looking for, what you want to hear. So by the time it gets to me, it's either going to be great or it's going to be just like little slight changes to make. So that takes time. That takes building with your team. You know what I mean? And knowing your team.
How long does it like take to make like one song? Let's just say one project. No music
one
video,
song?
but just one song. Yeah.
So about writing or just like the whole process?
The whole process.
You can do a whole song and get it mixed and mastered and everything in a day. If you especially, and then you got to factor in if you have a co-writer, if you're doing it with a team, if you have a full team, everyone's ready, you can create a hit and have it ready, recorded, mixed, mastered, everything in a day.
Yeah.
In a day, for sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned something about the industry. Can we go there next?
Yeah.
If you could diagnose the health of the music industry as a whole, from sick to not so sick to healthy to very healthy, where would you kind of place that diagnosis? I can define what health is if that would be helpful. Health is as far as the your aspirations towards being able to create music that represents yourself without having to negotiate those terms of who you are as an artist.
So I'll say it's a hard question because of the fact that the industry has changed so much.
Yeah.
Like if you were to have asked me that question probably like in the 2000s, you know what I'm saying?
Like 10 years ago,
10 years ago,
different. Yeah.
You know, everyone was going to labels. Everyone was basing success off of the label.
Right.
You know what I mean? Off of, 360 and all these things. But it's totally different. There are people that are totally reaching super, super, super success, doing Coachellas, commercials, endorsements, everything, and they're not signed. You know what I mean? For them, their health could be the health of the industry could be great because they don't have someone over them telling them this, and that. They're not tied to anything they don't want to be tied to because they created their own machine, right?
Sure.
But I'll say even with that, you still need a budget. You still need, certain pieces, you know what I mean, to make it work. So I can also say in that same space for someone in that position, it can still be tough. If you're trying to do those things, you're not signed to a label, but you're still working on your budget or you're still trying to work on numbers, if that's important to you, right? Or you're still trying to do shows or you're still trying to do this. So I'll say, it just depends. As far as the industry itself, I think that it definitely needs some healing. It needs some therapy.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. It needs some therapy. It needs to kind of be broken down to be built back up. And, even as a person, talk about personal development.
Yeah.
It's needed and necessary.
Absolutely.
It ain't going to look good. It ain't going to feel good in the very beginning. But in the end, there's it's a win. So
I gotcha. Yeah. And I appreciate you entertain that question too. I'm not in the musical industry at all, but it's always fascinating to look at other industries as well. My trade is as a realtor by trade, and looking at that industry, we see bumps along the road, and we see where it's gone wrong, where it's gone super wrong, and then you kind of look at other industries and go, seems to be a common thread. But you touched on something I wanted to maybe entertain, if that's all right. So you said it requires therapy, and therapy in a lot of ways requires conversations.
Yes.
Is there a certain conversation piece that comes to mind when it comes to maybe the process of healing?
The process of it, as far as the industry?
Yeah.
I think before anything, I'm definitely an advocate for therapy. I believe, there's nothing wrong with therapy. There's strength and vulnerability. And so even if I apply that to the industry, I think before anything, you have to be honest with yourself. Speaking as personifying the industry as a person. You just have to be honest with yourself. And I think that before anything, the industry needs to be honest about who the industry was originally set up for.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists don't feel or now understand, with all the information we do have now, the industry was never really set up to truly take care of the artist. You see what I'm saying? That's why we're fighting for what we're fighting for now. Yeah. That's one of the things we do in the Recording Academy. What you guys see in the Recording Academy is the Grammys. That's what you guys see. But the Grammys just represent one night of celebration for the year years of work or the year of work that we do.
Right.
Within the year, we do advocacy work. We fight different bills that protect our rights as artists. And so I say that to say, the fact that we still are fighting just to be paid, you know what I mean? Just kind of let you know that we're working within a system that really wasn't set up to really look out for the artists. And so we're trying to change that. As artists, we're trying to change that.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Nia, I understand it's a complex issue, and I appreciate you scratching the surface with us on that. And definitely, want to be respectful of your time and also your insight, because this is more so about you than the industry, because that's why we're talking about you.
Yeah. It's real.
I love your openness and transparency towards your reflection of how you can improve the industry by having those conversations and reflecting your values in that way. I want to turn more locally here to the 757 Hampton Roads, Norfolk area next. What are some of the ways in which you have enjoyed connecting with local creators or local community here and in around the area when it comes to the local music scene?
So we were just talking about it out in the hall. So I'm from Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
Graduated, like I said, from NSU 757, but I grew up in Northern Virginia. And we were laughing because one thing we understand is that Northern Virginia, Richmond, and the 757 are totally different vibes.
Three different places.
Different places, but we all Virginia.
What is that one country guy? The men north of Richmond.
Exactly.
There's something there.
Different vibes, but we're all from Virginia.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the 757, each city is different
You're like,
from the other city.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Exactly. But where I'm from, we actually consider the 757 like the Atlanta of Virginia. Because of the creative scene.
Thank you.
This is how we refer to y'all. Like, because of the creative scene. Like, here, you can come here with an idea and a vision. I mean, look at where we are.
Yeah.
You can it's easy to connect with the videographers, and there's so many studios and so many artists and so many places to perform and open mics and all that. You know what I mean? Festivals and all these different things. And so Virginia 757 has always been good to me. And even though, I graduated and went back home, I've always loved and continue to still get love from the 757, especially on the creative side, for sure.
Very cool. Is there a certain project or experience that stands out to you in recent memory from things you've done in and around the 757 area in the music scene?
Honestly, like I said, 757, there would be no Nia Dinero if there wasn't a 757.
Sure.
If I wasn't in a 757.
Because that was your origin story coming from NSU. Yeah.
Like, before I was Nia Dinero, I was Dreams to Dinero, the group that I was in. We started in a 757. And Dreams was my first producer. He's from Virginia Beach. Like, he was the first producer that I met that, he was in the band at NSU, and he really taught me how to record, and, he really kind of helped me hone in on being the artist that I am today, right? That's all 757, radio, theater, going to NSU, like all 757 will always play a major role.
Sounds like more of a collective experience versus on one particular moment.
Yes. 757 just in general, like going to school, coming to school here, and being in my first group, which opened the door for me to even be where I am right now.
Yeah.
757 just in general just plays a very, very huge role in my career, in my life, period.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that, and very proud to be a part of this community and a part of communities like yours that have been impacted it, regardless of where you end up going. There's always roots and ties. Nia, as we come towards the end of our conversation today, we'd love to roll out the red carpet and give you the final word to share to this camera here. But before we do that, we have to go through some rapid fire questions to get there. Do you accept this challenge? You get to get the red carpet. What do you say?
Okay, let's go. I'm ready.
First rapid fire question. If you could visit any city in the Virginia area outside of Virginia Beach, which one are you going to?
Ooh, city in any area? Outside of Virginia Beach? Does it have to include 7 cities?
7 cities, Virginia.
I guess I would love to visit I don't know. Honestly, I don't know a lot about Richmond.
Okay.
I really don't.
So you would visit Richmond because you don't know a lot about it, or Richmond is?
I would go to Richmond just
Okay.
to kind of see. I honestly, I drive through it.
They got the James River up there too. You can go whitewater rafting. That's fun. You ever done that?
Yes, I have.
Tubing,
I have.
whitewater rafting. Yeah.
I have. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know a lot of the cities. I've been to all the 7 cities, but I would say Richmond's probably like the only city in Virginia that I don't really know a lot about. I haven't really truly hung out in Richmond like that.
Well, Richmond's a good place. It's a fun place. We've been up there for work for I think 2 days this year. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know much about it either. I hear it's like Norfolk, but it's got more history, and then they have a lot of breweries. So,
hey, I have friends out there. They always tell me to come and visit. I'm just like, okay.
I love it. Nia, next rapid fire for you. When it comes to the musical process in general, what is your favorite tool or software to use on the day-to-day?
When it comes to creating music,
Creating music, tool or software?
Oh, favorite tool or software? The MacBook. Without the MacBook.
Shout out to Tim Cook. We tagged you in the comments below.
Yes, the MacBook.
Send us MacBooks and everything. Yeah,
please,
I got my iPad here. Cool. Any local endorsements, we'll shout it out here.
Exactly. I mean, come on, the MacBook.
Which of the Virginia beaches is your favorite beach to visit?
Oh, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Oceanfront? Is that your go-to? Yeah. Well, there's 10 unique beach experiences in Virginia Beach.
See, I know the oceanfront, but I didn't know that was actually like a name.
I'll give you one to check out.
Yeah, give me one. Okay?
So First Landing State Park.
Has
a beach.
You getting that? First Landing State Park.
First Landing State Park has a beach. It's on the bay, so it's a lot cooler, calmer, and less people.
Okay.
So that's for like a scenic bay, and then I'll give you a second one.
Okay.
Croatan Beach.
Croatan.
So you go south of Virginia Beach, past the First Street Yeti. You go over the bridge. Okay. I call it the Golden Gate Bridge because that's where all the 1%ers live. That's all the big houses.
I think I've been there.
That's where like the big houses are on the beach.
Okay.
And that's where you can feel bougie. It's a good place to film a music video. Just ideas, throwing it out there. But Croatan Beach.
This is good. This is good. I'm taking mental notes.
Got to give you reasons to come back.
Yes.
When it comes to the musical process, is there a go-to instrument that you like to implement with all of your songs as much as you can? Don't cheat and say vocals, but
I was gonna say
is it guitar? Is it the bass? Is it drums? Is it tambourine?
I love synths. Like I love synths. I love strings. Like a lot of the sounds that I do like kind of fall within that string synths kind of. So I love, this is a good question actually, because I love pop music. Like I love pop. When I was in the group, we had a genre, we created a genre called hip hop. HIPPOP. Hip hop. So it was rooted in hip hop.
Got to do one of those. Yeah.
So so Dreams more so brought like the element of hip hop, the rap, I brought a lot of the pop elements. So I would do a lot of like the big hooks, and I would add a lot of like elements, synths and backgrounds and all the like all these different things that you do on pop. And I still do that till this day. Like I think that's what makes my sound unique. Is because even when I'm rapping, I structure my music like pop records. Yeah. Like how like pop records, you'll have the verse, and then you might have pre-hooks.
Right.
And then you have the hook. Mm-hmm. I love a good pre-hook.
Baby, you're a firework. Yep.
I'm not afraid to repeat.
Yep.
If it's catchy, we gonna repeat that thing and make that hook catchy, and you get right back into that. The only difference is that I'll rap. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah. So I would say, with that being said, I love just kind of pop elements. So synths, and I'll do stuff like little bells and little snaps in the background. All these different subtle elements.
You're incorporating like a whole nother genre into the hip element.
Yep. And I've been, honestly, we started hip hop years ago. And so that's what people don't understand. When they're always asking me, like when I'm rapping, I always still had melody and harmonies under my raps. And they're like, at first, some producers don't get it. They're like, why are you rapping? Why are you doing this? And I'm like, it's my style. It's my style. It's hip hop. That's what it is. Like, it's elements of pop hip hop and a smidge of R&B, but more so, it's all rooted in my love for popular music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, thank you.
No
Last
problem.
one for you. This is a bit cheeky question because we like to meet more people and also talk celebrities. But out of all the people you've collaborated with, which one has been one of the more memorable experiences? And you can name a group or a couple people, or if you know any, famous people you want to name drop, we can tag them as well.
Name drop?
Yeah, like how many NDAs did I sign? Yeah, no.
People that I love to work with, that I've loved to work with thus far. Honestly, this is probably going to sound cliche, but I would say one of my best collaborations. You know what? One of my best collaborations was this artist in DC. He goes by Big Chess DC. He's really, really big in the go-go, the go-go genre. And I'm going to tell you, and he's going to laugh when I say this, but his sessions were crazy. Like, you walk inside, he already has the tea made for you and all your fruit. And because, a lot of go-go is rooted in live instruments, you go in there and there were, people who played the saxophone and, like, everything was live. And I just really, really loved that environment. And I loved the space that he created for me in creating the songs that we had. And I went in there recording one song. He asked me to do one song. And next thing you know, I think I did like probably 3 or 4 songs.
Oh, wow.
Like on one project.
That sounds really unique. You said go-go is the genre?
It's go-go. It's go-go. It's really, really big in the DC area. Like huge, actually.
Yeah.
And that's what he represents. And so that was big for me because I am a hip hop artist. And so it was a dope collaborative effort for sure. But Big Chess DC, that collaboration was really, really, really cool.
Big Chess DC.
He goes by Big Chess DC. Like he represents go-go to the fullest. He's from DC. So that was a really, really cool collaboration. I actually have our songs on my Apple Music.
I love that. I love that. Nia, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the conversation. You've made it to the end of the random yet rapid fire questions. There's nothing left to do except roll out the red carpet. This camera here. Share any final words or messages to the audience. The floor is all yours.
What's good, everyone? I go by Nia Dinero. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. You all can follow me at niadinero.com, NIADINERO.com. Please join the mailing list. Also, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, everything. Nia Dinero. And definitely stay tuned for some really, really dope stuff. All right, we got some shows coming up. New single, Side 2 is out now, available on all DSPs. And get ready.
Nia, thank you so much for the conversation. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.